Hey, and welcome. Hey, everybody. Listen, I have an amazing guest expert here today to talk to us about consistency with exercise, because in the almost 20 years I haven't been in practice, when I talk to people about exercise, the biggest thing they pull their hair out about is staying consistent. I know a lot of you out there know how to exercise. I know a lot of you out there get into regimes for a while, but then it falls off and then you can't get started again. And this is one of the biggest challenges in your weight release or weight maintenance journeys. So I have an amazing woman here. JJ Flazanis has, and I just probably said that wrong again, Flazanes, yes. Is this is Southern California. I mean, she's international, but I know her from Southern California, and she's a very big presence here in the health and fitness arena. She's an empowerment strategist and the host of several podcast shows, one of which I was just on, including Fit to Love and Spirit, Purpose and Energy, and she's the director of Invisible Fitness and Amazon best-selling author of Fit to Love, How to Get Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit to Attract the Love of Your Life, and who doesn't want to attract the love of their life, and author of NAC Absolute Abs, Routines for Fit and Firm Core, and she was, this is so cool, named the best personal trainer in Los Angeles by Elite Traveler magazine. And JJ has been featured in many national magazines, including Shape, Fitness, Muscle and Fitness, Hers, Elegant Bride, Women's Health, and has appeared on NBC, CBS, Fox 11, the CW, and KTLA. Now, the most exciting thing is that her latest book, The Invisible Fitness Formula, I was just reading this. This sounds amazing. 5 Secrets to Weight Release and End Body Shame. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful cover. Debuted at #2 on the Amazon bestseller list for women's health. Well, that is so exciting. Welcome, JJ. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Rita. Thanks for having me.
So let's just hop right into this. You know, here I am. I'm ready to go work out, and I know you. How long have you been in the health and fitness field? Like, it's been a long time,
20
right?
years. 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing. And what got you interested in health and fitness? Like, how did that spark your passion?
Well, honestly, I was always active. I was a dancer since I was 3. So the lower body was always built. And when I went to college, part of dancing was part of the curriculum. And
Right.
so I still was very active, but then I was dating my boyfriend at the time, was a gymnast, and he had a very well-defined, very balanced body. And I noticed that mine wasn't. And so I wanted to sort of even that out, because I never really did anything with my upper body. So I had these skinny, scrawny arms and really muscular legs. And then I went to the gym and got a job so I can get a free membership. And then I noticed the trainers and I thought, well, I want to do that. How do I get to do that? And then I started on the path of learning about how to do that. And funny enough, most trainers only have to take a weekend course to be certified, and then they can train you. So there's not a lot of focus on good quality education. There's no one governing trainers. Like, I mean, anyone can train anybody. You don't need to be certified. You might get sued, but if you have good insurance, it doesn't really matter what you know. If you have a good personality and a good body, most people think you know something. So unfortunately and fortunately, that this is on a regulated area. And fortunately for my clients and for me, I care about learning and being able to answer questions and be a good problem solver. So the 20 years I've been a trainer is also 20 years I've been learning and studying. So it's gone from the biomechanics and the anatomy of the body to, again, the spirituality. Like, I've taken everything from the physical, from the joints and the bones and the muscles, to the physiology, to the endocrine system and your hormones, to digestion and your neurotransmitters and your mood regulators, to the psychology of exercise, to the spirituality of the relationship you have with your body. So I've kind of taken the 20 years on the deep dive to put it all together.
That is so awesome. And I know, just from working with you and seeing you working with other people, JJ is incredibly passionate about what she does. And just what she said, everything is not just based on like years and years of education and how the body works, but JJ's bigger mission, just as mine is that connection to ourselves, and how do we align with ourselves to be our best selves, whether it is with exercise or weight management and all of those things, because they're all incredibly interconnected. And what JJ just touched upon, which I think is brilliant, is that the brain is so connected to the body. So when all of those systems are not aligned, none of them are aligned. I think we think our head exists on top of our body and they're somehow separate, especially when we're not exercising. I feel like we get very disconnected from our bodies, and we think, oh, everything going up here is completely separate from what's going on down there, and not true at all. So JJ, please, talk to us a little bit about, because you've worked with so many clients over the years. I mean, I know you've worked with really high level celebrities and people, just average Joes like me, who just, want to be fit and healthy. What has been, in your experience, the best, practices for staying consistent? Like, maybe dive into that, the inner game of being consistent for us.
So, I'm gonna start and I'm gonna finish with the same one. And I want to start with it because I've become a little more bold in my recommendations recently. I was interviewed on a radio show that's also a podcast by a woman. She's a psychologist, and she's out of Jersey, and she's got a ton of injuries. And she said to me, JJ, how, for the average person who doesn't have a trainer, can somebody either stay consistent or do the right exercises? And I said, Dr. Jane, she set me up perfectly. I said, Dr. Jane, why would you not have a trainer? If you have injuries and you need to get results, would you go learn about how to fix your car if your car broke down? Of course not. You would be like, that's too much for me to learn. But there's this understanding that, we all should know how to exercise and what the best thing is for us. And you don't. I'm sorry, unless you've studied anatomy and physiology and biomechanics and physics, and then biochemistry and the endocrine system and your psychology, you don't know what's best for you. Sorry. You know what you like, but that doesn't mean it's effective. So
right.
In terms of somebody who, is struggling with either finding the right kind of exercise. So in terms of, if it's important to you and you're not doing it, I have clients I've had for 10 years. And it's not because they don't exercise on their own. It's just because they understand that they get a better workout when I'm around, and I am in charge of the programming when it comes to things that tax their joints and that consistently keep them building muscle so they can increase their metabolism. Now, right. That doesn't mean, and I don't have room for people to work with them for the next 10 years, but it doesn't mean that you don't ask for professional help to set up a program for you or to look at that program for you, because programming is one of the biggest reasons why people don't stay consistent. When your exercise isn't working and you don't, maybe you feel the endorphins and the adrenaline of having the workout and that logical knowing that you took care of your body. But if you're not seeing the results you're looking for, the weight's coming off, the muscles aren't getting any tighter, the clothes aren't fitting any differently, your body shape isn't really changing all that much anymore. Maybe there were some initial results and then you kind of plateaued. Well, then you're not getting the same stimulus. You're not excited because you're not seeing how it's doing anything anymore. Because a lot of times that's what people do, go from nothing to something, and then there's an adaptation phase that happens, and you either, however the body adapts, it's going to be different, whether it be weight release or building some muscle or being stronger, having less stress, heart rate goes down, blood pressure goes down, whatever. And then, but you go to this level and you think that your exercise is for you, is going to stay that way. But that program that you did, you are, but then once you adapt, it stops working. You
right.
can't do this exercise for a year or 3 years or 5 years. It doesn't work. So right. If you do not have an effective exercise program that continues to get you results, you're going to say, well, I don't see the difference. My weight's not changing. I don't feel any different. My body still looks the same. So then, of course, you're not going to be motivated to want to do it. But if you know what's happening and you can see the changes, then you're more excited about doing it because you see the results happening.
Right. So having somebody who's your partner in your exercise, like leveling yourself up, is going to keep you engaged, continue to get you the results, and up your inner game as well.
Sure, that's for accountability when you're working, like you said, your partner. If you have an accountability partner just to get the work done, which is a great way to, I love doing cardio with somebody, whether it be a rollerblade or a walk or going dancing or, because it's fun. I can multitask. I can talk and I can walk, or I can run on the beach with a friend. But that's one part of it. But then there's the other piece, which you can get accountability to do classes, whether it be Pilates or yoga or, some kind of class at the gym. The problem becomes it's not personalized for you.
Right.
And even though you still may be working really hard, like someone I just met the other day, she saw me in a presentation and she signed up for consultation, and she does like CrossFit kind of stuff, but all her joints hurt. So she doesn't want to go because all of her joints hurt. And because CrossFit, like she's pushing a tire. Okay. and I'm such a positive person. I don't like to banter or like get really upset, but I really am going to start creating videos where I really just dog all the stupid crap people do, because it's the only way you're going to listen. You're not going to listen to me when I tell you, oh, the exercise you're doing, it's not safe for you. And you're like, yeah. But if I actually tell you and show you why it's ridiculous and stupid, you may perk up and actually pay attention.
Right.
So, you can get results and your body will adapt from doing really anything. The question isn't that, is it hard or is it hard for me? What's the risk and the benefit? If the risk is that you have joint pain or you get injured, then you don't end up exercising anymore because you're injured. So why would you take the risk on something that's so stupid just because you get bored? Well, get bored, hurt your shoulders, and then be out of commission for the next 6 months. So that's, again, the programming piece is so important, that it's actually an effective not an effective program for you because it's personalized. Part of a program for you, but if no one is managing your process, if you're not taking a scientific approach to your exercise, then you're just sort of throwing stuff against the wall hoping something's going to stick. And then when it works, you go, great, that works, and you keep doing that. But then we forget that we adapt, and that will stop working. It will keep you at that level for a little while. It'll decrease after some time. You actually go backwards. But if you're not constantly progressing to a new level of adaptation, the body doesn't need to change. The body says, I can do this. There's no need for me to change.
So do you, so if somebody wants a trainer, like as you're advising, what do you think about, so there's an array of ways to go in doing that. Obviously they could work with someone like you via Skype or in person. Is it best to go, and you could, if you're at a health club like LA Fitness or Bally's or the YMCA, there are usually people on staff that you could make an appointment and go. And I think even sometimes for free, they'll set you up with an exercise program. But you're suggesting you need to continue checking in with that person then, if you're not going to like hire them, to work with you. But you would like at the top level say, get somebody to work with you once a week or at least once a month, so that they're kind of continuing to give you a new program to level up to.
Well, so I don't have room to work with people on a consistent basis. So I'm not even looking for anybody who wants to like do every week.
Right.
For the next, but doing once a week for the next 10 weeks to build you a program you can do on your own. Decide that, you want to take that program and get an accountability partner to do it with, or take the form, because while yes, you could go hire someone at the gym and it could be actually I guarantee you're not going to get hurt, and I can't guarantee it's going to work. Like I just said at the beginning of this, a personal trainer or not even have one. And I mean, most gyms, I believe, unless it's a private training gym, do require that you have a certification, but they don't really monitor what kind and if it's out of date. So really, you're putting your body in harm's way by just trusting someone who may sound like they know what they're talking. And I just can't guarantee all trainers aren't equal. I would have fear and say, no, don't spend the money on me to help you, and then go figure out a way less expensively to maintain some accountability, because I can't guarantee and it's going to be safe. So, and I can even tell you the questions to ask, because you have to know something to know if they're telling, what their answer is. Maybe in the future maybe I'll make it so people can hire me to interview trainers for them. I don't know, so that I can choose a trainer for you. That's if it's really important for you to do it in person with somebody. But if you're not having the effective program, then again, who's going to want to try to keep consistent exercise routine if you're not seeing the results. So that has to be the first thing in actually in knowing this is working and why I want to continue doing it, because I constantly see the results. And even if you don't, let's say, like the clients I've had for 10 years, I mean, they go up and they go down in terms of the results based on their stress level in their life, based on what they're eating, based on what's going on. But what they know is that we're consistently building muscle, and whether or not their eating program or their cardio is intact or not, they know that we're maintaining their metabolism by the resistance training that we're doing.
Right.
So at least there's something that they know is working. And then depending on their own time dedication and focus and emotional responses, there's a trust that at least we're on one way, we're kind of continuing to put forth energy into a long-term strategy, into a long-term investment strategy, if you will, into bone density, into building muscle, keeping their joints safe and their body strong enough as they age to handle whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And when you, with somebody and consistency, or with somebody when they're building an exercise program, let me go back to there. Like, let's say there's a lot of now, maybe you can answer this question because somebody asked this, is what are your ideas about the online programs that are available now, like yoga programs? And I know you're going to probably address safety with that, but there are now, because sometimes people have a hard time physically getting to a gym to work out, and so that they're doing their programs from home. What do you feel about these new online programs that are on there?
Well, so in terms of, what we've talked about, like I work on Skype, so I train people all over the world one-on-one, like I was sitting in front of them. And I love that because I can then, it lets me help anyone anywhere. You don't have to be in Southern California, and it's convenient for you and it's convenient for me. And I get to teach you what to do when you're by yourself in your house with very minimal equipment, which then translates to you can do this anywhere. So it's not like you need a gym with equipment. You can't say, oh, I need to get a workout, I need to find a gym. No, you don't. You'll know what to do no matter where you are, whether you're on a beach, you're in a hotel, you won't even need to go down to the gym potentially, because you'll understand the exercises that you can do. When it comes to the other online programs that people can do that are group situations or whatever, I think that that's a really good way to keep accountable, to sign up for something. And you really need to pay for something to make it, like, if you care about it and you pay for it, you're going to show up for it. So I think that those kinds of programs would be great, provided that you put it in your schedule, you act as if it's an appointment. Don't treat exercise like if I have time today or if I feel like it. Schedule it in your schedule. Figure out what makes consistent sense for you and be realistic. One of the points I wanted to make is I do a lot of astrology with people in their programming, because I want to tailor what you're choosing to do that fits your energy. And there are some people who won't do some things because it doesn't fit how they operate, doesn't fit what comes naturally to them. So why would I ask someone who does something naturally over here to try to go over here where they're not going to do it? And then they're going to feel like, well, then if that's what I have to do, then I'm not going to be successful and I'm just going to give up. So there's that personality and emotional, mental processing that you need to take into consideration. And if you're somebody who, doesn't want to exercise. I helped someone lose 100 pounds working out twice a week over like 3 years. So she worked out 2 days a week. And people think, oh, I want to lose 100 pounds. That must mean I need to work out 7 days a week. No, you don't. What we did, and I work out, and she works out once a month with me. So once a month over the last, she's been a client now for a long time, but in the first 3 years, it was about adjusting the program. She did the program on her own. I would see her once a month and I'd create programs that she would then do on her own, but we constantly made sure she never plateaued. And it was only 2 days a week was her total workout. So again, people think that she scheduled it. She scheduled her one time with me a month, and she scheduled the days that she was going to go to the gym and do these exercises. She scheduled the cardio, she scheduled the resistance training. So if you need to treat it like an appointment and understand your psychology, there is no should. There is no, again, if you have a lot of weight to release and you think I should go 5 days a week, no, you don't have to. Or what can I really do in 1 or 2 days a week? You can do a lot if it's sufficient. So again, the whole scheduling and then the mental capacity of that, like most people try to do too much too soon and then get frustrated and go, this is too hard.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be that.
Okay. And we'll talk about a little bit about the body shaming piece, because I think a lot of things, like if you could give somebody coaching about even getting to the gym, because I think there's a huge leap for somebody who hasn't been to a gym or been to, and I know we could do it from home, but I'm just talking about that whole idea of like even putting on exercise clothes and that whole like, oh, it's, you know, like self-loathing with regards to our body, to even start to want to take care of our body, to even start to want to improve and make a big change in our lives.
Or is the question, how do we get someone to go to the gym?
So what would be like some coaching, because you work with body shame, like to get them to sort of neutralize those negative feelings so that they could put on some exercise clothes and either go to the gym or begin a workout regime at home? Because I think there's just this whole like, I don't even want to look at my body. I don't even want to be with my body.
Yeah. So, you know, to cut to the chase on that, as I'm sure you know, that, you know, usually the easiest way for people to absorb and digest things is to slowly sort of peel back the onion and take one step at a time. I'm going to dive right through the middle of the onion and tell everybody that body shame is nothing more than just you don't feel worthy, right? It's a lack of worthiness, which we all have on some degree at some level in our lives, if not all the time, in different ways. So the first place to start, I have, since the Fit to Love book, as well as the Invisible Fitness Formula, both start with that transformation of you have to accept where you are first. Because if you don't, every action you take, exercise and eating in a certain way, continues to anchor in the feeling of self-loathing, because you're doing it because you're not accepting where you are and who you are and why you're there. So we have to reframe and start to appreciate what we do have, what is working, what we do love about our bodies. Because if we're not coming from a place of support and love and dedication to our total well-being, then you're never going to get to the place where you like or will be consistent with exercise, because you by default hurt your own self. You hurt your feelings every time you do it, because you're anchoring in the shame, you're anchoring in the self-hatred. We have to start with changing why you do this in the first place. Some people rebel against exercise because they intuitively know that my worth is not based on the number on the scale. And until we have a little bit of a divorce from the scale and those numbers, and we can say and look at like giving the power away to that body image or that number, that random number, that I promise, if I gave you the choice of a body naked that you really liked and a number you thought was great, which one would you, but didn't look the same as the body that you really liked, which one would you choose? You wouldn't choose the number, because the number is random. You have in your mind, you think this number means I'm going to look a certain way. And most people, when they start to reduce body fat and increase some muscle and they tighten up a little bit, their body shape changes and they go, oh, but it may be heavier than they think they should be. We have this warped relationship with the scale and with numbers that really skew our ability to accept ourselves for who we are, because your worth is not based on a number or a shape or a size. So until we start to change that relationship, then you're just cycling through that negative self-loathing of, I have to do this because otherwise I won't look better. If I don't look better, no one will love me, and I'm lazy, and I'm whatever the negative chatter is that's attached to why you have to do this versus why you want to do this, and shifting out of the should into the want, and shifting out to what can I do and what do I want to do and why do I want to do it, and focusing on that instead of saying, why don't I want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to hate it the whole time, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to force myself to do it, but I hate it anyway. Like, it just keeps anchoring that negativity.
Right. Well, good advice. Well, what is something else? I mean, like, you know, in your experience, I'm going to just look at some of the questions. What if somebody is in that somebody asked, and maybe you already answered this question, but I'm just going to ask it. So they're already working out, right? They're doing their thing, but then they fall out of exercise. So they're chronic getting on an exercise, kind of, you know, they're fairly, once they're exercising, confident in their exercise, but then they'll go away on vacation, totally fall off track, and it might be months and months and months before they get back into their exercise routine. And I know your answer would probably be work with the trainer, but like, is there anything like from a psychological standpoint in your mind, you know, what you've seen people like, you know, getting off track, what are some, you know, doable steps to get back on track, you know, either mentally, you know, internally or externally, like you said, like calling a trainer and getting back on track. But, you know, for somebody who feels pretty good about what they're doing, but they just can't stay they'll get off track and then they can't get back on track. I just hear this all the time, and this is what this person asked.
Yeah. So again, that's the advice would be tailored again, partly to their personality and astrology. Are you an Aries, Rita?
No, I'm not. I'm married to one though.
What's your birthday?
I'm a Virgo.
Okay. All right. So you're all about the structure and the stability. Okay. You're the person that likes the charts and the numbers and the tracking.
Yeah, I do.
Right. But there are a whole bunch of people that hate that and that will never do that.
Yes.
So that's the wrong advice for those people because they don't operate like that. I'm one of them. Right. So really working with someone's energy to figure out why, so why I asked if you're an Aries is because there's also the belief that you have to be doing something all the time and you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't been exercising consistently for a couple of weeks. I've been traveling, but I'm okay with that. And it's the idea that you're not a robot, and depending on what your goals are, what is the there's that balance of whether it be if we're looking at energy expenditure from again that numbers point of view of calories in, calories out, and I'm exercising. Okay, so let's say you're on a path where you're not exercising for a little while for whatever reason, as long as you're aware I'm not moving my body that much and we're decreasing the amount of starchy carbohydrates and the amount of drinks we're having and we're eating more of a keto or intermittent fasting, there's no problem there. But again, it's changing that relationship with exercise to understand that after a certain point, like I didn't have a very good sleep last night. And I've been traveling a lot and on different time zones. And I realized yesterday I've had this like energy in my legs and I was very clear. I'm like, wow, I need to exercise because I feel this backed up energy that needs to be released from me physically. And it's not because I've gained any weight or anything like that. It's just because I have this, like, I need to move. We have over 300 muscles and over 200 bones because we're designed to move, not sit. And when you change your relationship to exercise, you miss it when you don't do it. And that's where, if you're just doing it because you're trying to burn calories, or you're just doing it because you want to lose a few pounds and you're just doing it, then you miss the point of why your body is even built the way it is. And again, changing your relationship to exercise will help you at least after a while go, wow, I don't feel the same when I don't exercise. I mean, I have clients that go away and on vacation, but they come back and they're like, I missed this. Like there's a difference in your body that you feel when you do something that you know is doing all these good things for you. So I wouldn't be so hard on yourself when people fall off the wagon, so to speak. Just maybe that's an indication different relationship with exercise, because if you aren't finding a way to move more or finding a way you like to move more, then that's probably the issue. If you're just doing it to do it because you're checking the box off the list or whatever, that's not sustainable. We want to marry again that sort of self-love and respect to your aging process and understanding that that you're going to brush your teeth every day, most likely. You're going to take a shower every day or every other day. You wouldn't stop doing that because you'd feel gross, right? Well, it's the same thing with exercise. It's getting to the place where you understand that maybe you feel a little gross because you haven't moved in a little while because you're in touch with your body. It's like what you said at the beginning in terms of being disconnected. The more connected to your body you are, your body will tell you it's time for you to move. And I'm feeling a little weak here. Time for me to build some muscle here. And it isn't necessarily about hiring a trainer. It's about changing the relationship with exercise. You can have a trainer and still hate exercise. You can have a trainer and still not have an effective program. It's really not about having a trainer. It's just about having the right program and about having the right relationship with your body and your future and understanding what exercise does to you. So it's not just about the number on the scale or not just about saying on my Fitbit, I hit the 10,000. I mean, that to me is one of the most ridiculous things ever, honestly, because so many people are so worried about hitting their 10,000 steps that they never do any harder exercise, which never gets them any results. So 10,000 steps is going to keep you plateaued at the same level. And for what? You move 10,000 steps. Good for you, but you're not getting any results because you're already good at it. You already do it all the time. So again, it's that you have to be the programming, the personalization, the effectiveness, and the blending with your own mental and psychological and astrological energies is really important for choosing the right thing that will last, or having options. That's another thing. It's not just like, okay, well, if I can't do this, I can't do anything. No. If you understand you have options and you actually learn how to use your body and exercise in ways, you can go, oh, I have 10 minutes. I can do an ab routine. Oh, I have 10 minutes. I can do a little leg routine. And at least you've done something. And sometimes that's all you need to get you into, oh, I can do 10 minutes more.
Right. Building on what you said about like just finding, like having a powerful relationship with your body and exercise, and it not just being about weight loss, but it is really cultivating this exercise. And then also bringing in that idea that you said about like continually building on, you know, what your body gets to know a certain level, and then you need to build it up a little more, right? You need to take it to a different place. But as far as that's concerned, JJ, and I just want to ask you this question, I'm curious about it myself, is that you're not talking about more time, you're just talking about working differently, or a little working in a different way.
We have 4 principles in which you can gauge your exercise program and when it's time to change. It's called the FIT principle. I've talked about it on different shows of mine before. It's frequency, intensity, time, and type. FIT, F-I-T-T. Frequency, intensity, time, and type. You do 2 different charts. You do one for cardio, one for resistance training. And you list how many times a week you're doing it, what the intensity level is, what the time you're doing it is, and what the type is. Like, what are you doing? And when you take and look at that chart and you see, what am I doing, and is it working for me anymore? And if it's not, you get to then make a decision about what you're going to change. Usually one of those 4 things stays the same. For a lot of people, I like their frequency to stay the same, because if you're in a habit or you're doing even twice a week or 3 times a week, I don't want to encourage people to do more, because when life changes, you go on vacation, that's not sustainable. So if it's you keep your frequency the same, or unless you have an injury and you have to keep the type the same, or if you're on a tight schedule and you have to keep the time the same, pick a category where you don't change it, but then you can play with the intensity level or the kind of exercise you're doing. So it's about tracking, at least having an awareness. It doesn't have to be that you write it all down, but having an awareness that if I was doing, let's say, an upper body routine that consisted of sort of a total body, upper body routine, and it used to make me a little bit sore the next day or 2 days later in my muscles, not in my joints, and I felt like my skin getting a little tighter, my muscle getting a little tighter, and then now nothing happens anymore, like I don't feel anything, then that's an indication it's time to up either the intensity of it or the duration of it. So, or maybe even the frequency of it. So you have to monitor your adaptation phase. If you're not working with somebody has to do it. Otherwise it's, again,
Right.
much easier if you like create the plan and then you follow it, and you can continually make little incremental increases that aren't going to be like jumping from yoga to CrossFit to this fat, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know what works, I've done it all, right? Because you're making huge leaps and you have no idea what to expect from these things. So you can definitely monitor your own adaptation.
Okay, well, cool. That's great advice. I like that, FITT. Cool. So any last ideas or words of wisdom for somebody, and please also, any last words, and then I want you to talk to us a little bit about if somebody wanted to work with you, how they could do that.
So, exercise. Yeah, the last things I would say about exercise is really, that's why I wrote the last book about ending body shame and releasing 5 secrets to release weight and body shame. There are scientific, there are mental, behavioral, emotional, and there are spiritual principles to this whole program. And I'm about the mind, body, soul integration. I think that if we're just stuck in one way, then it may be temporarily very successful, but I have found that most people have the backslide. And not that your program will stay the same forever, it shouldn't. As your body changes,
Right.
as your style changes, that's when you take that FIT principle and you adjust it based on maybe there was a goal of getting your body to a certain place where you added more time and now you're there, and maybe your eating has changed, maybe your lifestyle has changed, and maybe you reduce it a little bit because you're like, hey, I'm good. I've kind of like got to the goal, and now I'm just going to maintain, and now I actually kind of enjoy it. And so it doesn't have to be the same thing all the time for the rest of your life. Or maybe I'm going to do more resistance because I'm getting older and I'm losing some hormones and my metabolism is slowing down and I want to build more muscle because I know that's a good long-term strategy.
Right.
So I would just say, know that it's science. All pieces of it are science. If it's not working, you're not doing it right. It works when you understand those pieces, and it's not for you to understand. So get some help and ease it up on yourself. It's okay. It's a great, use the contrast as a way to reflect on what your next lesson is in this process of accepting your body and of taking care of it. Because if you have resistance in some way, that's just an indication there's something that needs to be healed. So rather than like turn around and run the other direction, just say, well, that's something I have resistance to. What's that about? Get curious and then see how you can heal that and move forward.
Cool. Great advice. So how can we work with you, JJ?
JJFlazanes.com. JJFLIZANES.com is my website. I do individual appointments with people, consultations. Yeah, thank you. It's on the board. I do appointments one-on-one, Skype, phone, in person. There is a package. It's a 2-session package on the site if you go to programs. So that's how to work with me one-on-one, and you can do anything in that session. You can do, especially if it's over Skype or Zoom or on the phone, we could do anything from just the planning part of it, or we can talk about how to do the exercise piece of it. I also have some events. My next event is called The Next Big Step, and it's designed to help people actually break through to that goal, whatever it is, and it's not just like body and health related, it's also emotional and relationship oriented. And that's happening in September in LA, the 20th through the 23rd. It's a limited room. So if you're interested, I would absolutely recommend you get in touch with me. Like, really think about it, because it will sell out. And it's a very intimate retreat where you get a lot of attention, and it's a very strong community. And we go deep with all kinds of things with healers. This time we're going to address money in there too, whatever money blocks people have, as well as psychological blocks. So that's the next big step. And then there's the one-on-one stuff. And then my podcast is free. And if you go to jjflizanes.com, there's a tab at the top called shows. And it will show you all my podcast shows. And just click on whichever one speaks to you and listen to one. And if you like it, then you can subscribe. And it's all free, all the podcasts. And one more thing that's free. So I run a 30-day free manifestation challenge. And it's in any area of your life you want to manifest better things, health and weight loss, relationships, money. And the next one is in August. So if you want to join that, again, on my website, there's a little bar that says free tools and resources. Click on that and you can sign up and come into the group and focus every day on a meditation, doing a visualization, affirmations, things that get you into a place of receiving so that you feel better, and then the things you want, you get.
Cool. That sounds great. I'm signing up. So it's a 30-day challenge?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Next one's in August.
Cool. Well, great idea. Well, thank you, JJ, so much for coming on and guiding us. I feel like I've learned a lot today, and thank you so much for that. That's just a really clear, there's some things in there that you just said that were very interesting to me, just from that aspect of course, I understand, the relationship with yourself and your body, and exercise is really about connecting that mind and body. But I loved some of the insights that you gave us today, and especially about consistency and finding somebody, or at least that idea that you always are challenging yourself and improving. And I think that spiritually we need to do the same. And I like how you brought that into exercise, because we always, if we're not challenged, our mind is not engaged. You're absolutely right. So that's the key to consistency, is to continually challenge yourself. So having somebody also who can be your partner in that is an awesome idea. Thank you so much for being with us. I really, really appreciate it. I'm going to turn off the recording and say goodbye.